For the first time since 2016, Berkshire Hathaway and Warren Buffett sold an incredibly insane amount of Apple shares. I want to go over why they sold, how much they still own, and whether or not you should buy or sell Apple stock. Let's get into it. Real quick, everyone, it helps this channel out a lot if you could hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're almost there. Let's go. All right, if we look at the screen, it's the late Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway have been holding Apple stock since 2016. Here's the article. Why sell Apple? Berkshire reportedly did sell about 115 million Apple shares, about 13% of its total stake. Based on the stock price, Berkshire's Apple stake ended the first quarter with 790 million shares. The transactions were likely spread out over the first quarter. Using Apple's March 31st closing price, Buffett sold about $20 billion worth of Apple shares. Wow. So why sell it all? Basically for tax reason, Buffett said. Do I believe that Warren Buffett only sold Apple stock for tax purposes? I don't believe that at all. Their stock is up considerably since 2016, and the bill that's going to come along with those gains is going to be quite hefty. Apple shares had risen 48% in 2023, so the big seven, man, have really run up over the past year and a half. So trimming those positions to go to other undervalued positions is probably a good idea, right? So they're going to take some profits and reallocate that capital, I think. Apple shares, however, fell nearly 11% during the first quarter in 2024, but they're up 7% since the end of March and 7.7% just since the end of April. Berkshire is up 11% this year, but down 5% so far in the second quarter. So what are my initial thoughts on this sale by Warren Buffett? I just think Apple's price and their valuation is getting a little out of hand right now. I don't see crazy growth for Apple in the near future. So I definitely see a lot of undervalued assets in this current stock market that I think Warren Buffett and his team at Berkshire Hathaway are going to reallocate those funds. It'll be really interesting to see where Buffett moves that money over the next 2 or 3 quarters. The article continues with Berkshire Hathaway has been a shareholder of Apple since 2016 when the late Charlie Munger convinced Buffett it was a great stock to buy. I don't know why he needed to get talked into this stock purchase by Charlie Munger. I mean, just look at the innovations this company has made. They've revolutionized computers and tech and a million other different products, right? So I don't know why he needed to get convinced to buy this stock. The investment has been fantastically successful, and Buffett still believes deeply in Apple. And they get crazy dividends from Apple, so, I mean, trimming up the position, they were just a little overweight in Apple, in my opinion. He predicted Apple stock will still be Berkshire's biggest holding at the end of the year, and he noted Apple CEO Tim Cook was attending the meeting. So I'm going to head over to Whale Wisdom. It's one of my favorite websites where you can look at all these funds and see what they own, what they're buying, and what they're selling from their 13F filings. The change in shares. They sold 116 million Apple shares, man. It's crazy. Down 13% in their weighting. The overall ownership in Apple is 4.84%. Woo, baby. They currently own about 800 million shares still, but they sold a significant position. Don't let anyone fool you guys, man. They definitely sold a lot of Apple, and I definitely think the valuation is a little bloated right now, so I'm not buying Apple at all whatsoever, especially because if you have a 401k and you're in these big index funds, you have plenty of exposure to Apple already, so I don't want to get any more exposure to Apple, and we'll have to see if Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway continue to trim this position, right? If we click on the overall weightings for Berkshire Hathaway, it's 40% of their portfolio, which is an extreme weighting, right? The next biggest position is Bank of America, and that's coming in just under 12%. So they were already incredibly overweight with Apple stock, right? So it was over probably 50% of their portfolio. Right now it's around 40%. I think Warren Buffett and his team were looking at their portfolio and they were like, man, we've made a killing on Apple stock. We don't need to be this heavily weighted because say if Apple starts to go in the drink a little bit over these next few quarters with a recession likely headed for the United States, I mean, they could lose some of their gains. So they're going to lock in some of those gains and then wait for maybe a downturn in this market that's running pretty hot right now to reallocate those funds in another position where they can make another monster win. So if you look at their top 5 holdings, we got Apple, Bank of America, American Express, Chevron, and Coca-Cola, and they also have Oxy, which is a huge position for them too. So they're the weights that are over 4% in Berkshire Hathaway's portfolio. Berkshire Hathaway is a great investment. They're a great place to hold your money. You're not going to get crazy gains like 20, 30% a year, but you're going to get very solid gains from Berkshire Hathaway. I like their stock. But Apple stock, the PE ratio is getting up there pretty high, and I think that's why Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway ultimately trimmed their stake a little bit, selling almost 120 million shares of Apple, guys. Whoo, baby, that was a huge sale of Apple shares, man. But they still own a significant amount, almost 800 million shares of Apple. They're collecting those dividends that are constantly rolling back into their portfolio, right? So they're selling a big chunk of shares, but every quarter when Apple dishes out their dividends, they're going to get more and more Apple shares. They're probably getting reinvested back into the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio where they can use that cash to buy other positions. If we look at Berkshire Hathaway, we can see some of their buys. They bought CB and Oxy. Chubb is an insurance company. Oxy is an oil and energy company. They bought a little bit of Oxy, but they opened up a new position, almost 26 million shares of Chubb, 6% of the overall stake. So what are you guys doing? Do you think you should be buying Apple right now after Warren Buffett cut his position? I know I'm not going to be buying Apple. Let me know in the comments below. Are you buying, you holding, or selling your shares of Apple if you own any? And if you don't own any, are you interested in buying some shares? We'll have to see what happens, what Warren Buffett and Berkshire does with Apple moving forward. Are they going to continue to trim up this position? Considering it's 40% of their overall portfolio, they are extremely overweight in that position. When you look at these type of portfolios like Berkshire Hathaway, you don't want them to be too overweight in any one company because say if Apple goes south, man, you're going to lose a lot of value in Berkshire Hathaway because they're so overweight in Apple stock. All right, everybody, I just wanted to give you this quick update on what Warren Buffett's portfolio with Berkshire Hathaway is doing right now. Let me know, do you like Berkshire Hathaway? Is that more of a buy to you than Apple stock? I would love to hear your opinion in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.